I'm Victoria Maskaluk, and today we're going to speak about STEAM implementation for a new generation of pupils. I'm going to start with the idea that the education is only that which remains at the moment you have forgotten everything you have learned in school. This is a general idea that speaks about how important is the way we teach for the future of any of the kid that we provide this kind of teaching. I strongly believe that we are supposed to choose that strategy that is going to develop skills that the pupil will use during his career or in life in such a way that he expands on the knowledge that we try to develop throughout the school years. I believe that STEAM is one of the best methods to develop skills, to make the kids think through their hands, to connect the students with their careers. And it is the only way to go because we are multitasking people, and every day we perform so many tasks at the same time. And we are supposed to train our kids to know how to take advantages of this kind of ability of the 21st century. Then I would like to start with a video.
STEAM is an educational framework that brings reality into the classroom. It connects the different subjects together in the way that they would relate to the business world and to each other.
S is for science, T is for technology, E is for engineering, and A is for arts, and M is for math.
So it's science and technology interpreted through engineering and the arts, all based in a language of mathematics. It connects the different subjects together in the way that they would relate to each other.
I like it because you get to think and create.
When you get to see it in action, you get to see the students do what they do. They think with their hands. It's a grand opportunity. It's just creating those 21st century skills that our students need. So that's what we gear STEAM toward for our students.
We came up with an idea we saw online about how some students have been building arcade games strictly using cardboard boxes and tape. So they have to be very innovative and trying to figure out different ways to make things using those materials only. So what can we do to keep these up a little bit more?
We could just get some cardboard.
So why don't we wrap it up with some cardboard? That's a great idea.
I want to be an arcade designer when I grow up.
They've had a good time. They've been extremely engaged, and it's been a great problem-solving activity where they have to figure out alternative ways to make things.
It's just so great for the kids to be creative and use their imagination and see how arts can be involved in engineering and math and all these other careers.
The arts include the social arts, the manual arts, the physical arts, and the fine arts.
To be a successful STEAM program, realize that integration is the key, meaning that from classroom to classroom, these concepts have to carry on to each other, they have to tie into each other for things to really relate and to make sense. That's how you're going to reach every student, you're going to reach every type of learner when things are integrated and fully connected.
Right now, you're going to balance this butterfly on the end of this pencil.
A pencil is a simple machine.
So we start out small with just small things that you have to balance. And they get to go, when they go in PE one day, they'll get to make structures using their bodies. And they have to balance. But what we're working up to is our culminating activity where we're going to the Space and Rocket Center. So before we get to go there, we're going to actually make rockets and launch them. And everything that we do, we always write about it.
I need you to write 3 sentences about balance.
I developed STEAM in 2006 while I was a graduate student. I started using it in 2007, and I kind of worked the kinks out of it myself in the classroom for the few years. So I started doing trainings on it in 2008. So when schools come to me and they want their teachers to be trained in STEAM, what they're really looking for is for me to help them make that mental shift, to start taking their curriculum and expand it to be STEAM.
We thought we knew what STEAM was, but until you really try and have Georgette to show you how these disciplines are really related, how mathematics is the through line of life, what technology really means, that it's the tools that you're using and how we can relate all these things together.
Georgette Yachtman was so phenomenal because she gave us a wealth and a plethora of knowledge that we needed to actually branch our STEM school.
The most important thing for me was connecting students with careers that were based on STEAM.
So I want to stay in school and learn more about engineering and robots so I can be an engineer when I grow up. I want to be an engineer too. Make the world a better place.
People ask me all the time, what's a good way to teach STEAM? And I use the game of Go. It's left and right brain developed. It's artistic. It's mathematical. It's the Asian equivalent of chess.
It's a paradigm shift. It's opening your eyes to a different way of doing it. And once you've seen that, you realize that this is the way to go.
They have to be able to see it, taste it, use their senses to learn, and then they don't forget,
Because this is just good teaching. This is project-based, children getting dirty with their hands and creating these objects for them. So, and that's the real winners in all this, is the students.
Then this video, I have chosen namely this video because this video presents a point of view of some people that already have implemented STEAM, and they observe that that's really very successful in training the kids, in developing skills, in joining the kids, connecting the kids with their careers. Then I really believe that STEAM is that kind of approach that can make the mental shift in the Republic of Moldova. Then this is the only way to prepare our kids for life. That's the only way to make them become very successful. That's the only way from early age to bring the reality into the classroom, because our primary purpose is to prepare the kids for the reality. Then you might ask me, okay, how can we integrate STEAM in teaching English, and what the advantages of STEAM integration will be? Then there are a lot of advantages of this approach, integration in teaching English. First of all, it exposes students to the creative process. Secondly, it offers meaningful collaboration and increases critical thinking. It is so important in the 21st century. It's so important to analyze, to synthesize, to compare, to make diagrams. You're not supposed to be a math person to do it. You are supposed to be a simple person to have this kind of critical thinking developed. It provides a unique way to problem solving, and it gives all students hands-on learning experiences. I strongly believe that if the kids learn from their senses, then they are going to know the material, they are going to understand the material much better, and they will keep this kind of experience for life. And they are going to use the frame that we propose in other situations, life situations, or business situations. And last but not the least, it shows the students a different way to value the art or to value English, because generally we are supposed to acknowledge one thing: our students are not extremely enthusiastic in learning English. They believe that sometimes it's boring to learn words and to make up sentences and to create dialogues and to make simulations. Then STEAM provides that kind of entertaining tinge to the process of learning English and teaching English. Then let's see how why it is necessary to implement this approach in teaching English. First, we are going to start with the communicative approach, that is the approach that we, the teachers of English, are supposed to use in developing language skills. Canal and Swain identified the 4 dimensions of the communicative competence. These 4 dimensions are grammatical competence, social linguistical competence, discourse competence, and strategic competence. The Minister of Education, Science and Research of the Republic of Moldova, by issuing the new national curriculum in 2019, wants the educators to develop pragmatic skill or pragmatic competence, linguistic competence, social linguistic competence, and multicultural competence. Then we can observe that we have the same 4 dimensions of the communicative approach in the document, in the national curriculum that was issued by the Minister of Education. That means that, generally speaking, we teachers of English, we are supposed to use the communicative approach in teaching English. That means we are supposed to develop the pragmatic competence. That means we are supposed to provide with situation where the pupils are going to see how the language is used. We're supposed to develop the language skills, the 4 language skills. We are supposed to develop the social linguistic competence. That means we are supposed to provide situations from the society and how the pupil is supposed to use the language in different societies, speaking with different types of people, and the multicultural skills. Then, while teaching one type of culture, we're not supposed to forget about our own. Then, although we're teaching English, we are supposed to provide some information about Moldova, and we're supposed to make the kids compare different types of educations, the education in Moldova and the education in the United States or the United Kingdom. Then the communicative while implementing communicative approach, different materials are supposed to be used. Then either text-based materials that we highly used during our classes of English, task-based activities that we highly used as an extension, as the homework, and realia-based activities that we don't use very often. By reality-based activities, I mean different objects from real world that the teacher uses as the general material for developing content. The Minister of Education, Science and Research of the Republic of Moldova wants the teachers to make the kids create products, then digital posters, role play performances, simulations. Then we can observe that these things are very difficult to be implemented. Namely, in Moldova, we don't have materials, or we don't have a continuous internet connection. How can we do it? Then I think STEAM approach is the best opportunity, because STEAM approach will offer the teacher the possibility to use task-based or reality-based materials. And as a result, during the classes, the kids may make either digital posters, role-play performances, simulations, hands-on products. That means STEAM as an idea, as an approach, works extremely well in teaching English, in making that kind of mental shift, in bringing the reality into the classroom and relate the classroom to the business world and to the disciplines that are integrated, it is the only way to go, because in case that we are going to make the kids think from doing, then we are going to create the opportunity, we are going to offer them the chance to be very successful in everyday life, because they are going to create something, create products. It doesn't matter what kind of field they're going to encounter on a daily basis. And we're supposed to develop skills that they need for the creation of products. That's why STEAM offers the greatest opportunities among all the approaches that I have ever used while teaching English. Then let's see how it's possible to integrate STEAM while teaching English. Then I have chosen Unit 1, Lesson 3, Grade 10, although I do know that the ministry gives the possibility to the teacher to choose the material, the content she or he wants. I still believe that in the textbooks there are some topics that we may use without any trouble in teaching English. Then I have chosen Unit 1, Lesson 3, Grade 10. I'm sure that you know what the lesson is about. Then the lesson is about education in different parts of the world and the development of the educational process in different countries. Then I'm not interested in the text itself. I mean in the text itself, because we have some many small text in the lesson. I'm interested in the vocabulary. Then I have chosen for the active vocabulary to be trained during the class the following phrases: to be obsessed with, to feel remorse about something, to find something boring, to turn somebody off. From the very beginning, I acknowledge, being a teacher of English, that I'm supposed to train the language skills. And my aim is to train the vocabulary and to provide with some situations where the kids will use the active vocabulary chosen by me. Then, if you have observed, then I have a PDF file, that means a Word document, worksheet that I have prepared for my kids to work with. There are different stages of my lesson. Then I start with the development of the language skills. Then I have the first activity, the second, and the third activity. They target at developing the language skills. Then the kids will learn the words and will train the words in different situations. And then I have STEM integration. That means that the kids will create something. I have created a scenario, an essential question that will make the kids, will provide the kids with the general situation of the lesson. Then I'm going to provide some materials, and the kids will create something, and then they will test that kind of product that is created. And at the end, there will be peer assessment. That means the product will be assessed by other colleagues. The general idea of STEM integration is group work. I believe that's not the first time when I say that the happy number for group work is 3. Why? Because first, the kids, they are not so many while working. That means each person will have the chance to work on the product. Secondly, it's very easy to decide upon the roles in the group. Now, we start with dividing the class into groups of 3. And as I have said, we start with the development of the language skills. I have chosen 4 expressions that I'm going to train today during the lesson, and definitely we are going to, these expressions will be used in speaking about education. Then let's start. Then the first stage of the lesson is the word cloud. Then the kids are supposed to read the words from the word cloud and draw a picture that will help them guess the topic. Then you can observe that the word cloud is not simple. Then we have as if a person with 2 eyes. Moreover, the words that I have chosen definitely hint to the topic of education, because we have discipline, we have teacher, we have textbook, we have school, and we have lesson. Then, first of all, the pupils, the 10th graders, are supposed to create a drawing. And then, on the basis of their drawing, they are supposed to speak about the topic that possibly they will speak about during the lesson. Then the second stage is to make associations. Then I believe that making associations is the great opportunity in developing critical thinking. Of course, it helps at expanding on the vocabulary, passive vocabulary that the kids have. Then in this case, the pupils are supposed, they have the new expressions that are going to be trained throughout the whole lesson, to find something boring, to turn somebody off, to feel remorse about something, to be obsessed with. And they are supposed to find some other verbs, adjectives, nouns that in a way are associated with the expressions. For example, to find something boring, to be sick, that means when I'm bored, then I'm sick. Or when I feel I find something boring, I believe that that thing is not interesting. Then they are supposed not only to find the words, the parts of speech, but they are supposed to provide proofs why these words are connected to the expression that was chosen as one of the expressions of the active vocabulary to be trained during the lesson. The third stage of the lesson is the stage that targets at using the expressions in a certain situation, because of course we're interested in the development of the grammatic competence, and we want to show the kids how the language should be used in different situations. That's why I believe that the dialogue creation is the greatest opportunity. But I believe at the same time that in order to save time during the lessons of English, as the lesson doesn't last so much, then it lasts for about 45 minutes, we're supposed to provide first with directions. That means we are supposed to give the dialogue, a sample of the dialogue, offering the opportunity to any kind of learner with different English language proficiency, the chance to train the language skills. Then I have the dialogue that sounds as follows. How was your English class yesterday? Terrible. The teacher is obsessed with tests and enormous homework. Oh, in this case, your class was boring. Definitely. The idea to have a class of English tomorrow turns me off. That is bad. My English class is wonderful. The teacher organizes challenges and we learn through fun. I envy you. Then, if you have observed, then there are phrases, some of the phrases that were trained in the first 2 stages in the dialogue. Then you can train this dialogue with some of the students, with some of the groups, and then you can ask the students to change some of the lines within the dialect. That means they can change the discipline. For example, how was your math class yesterday? They can change the general attitude towards the class. Oh, that was great. The teacher is not obsessed with tests and enormous homework, and so on and so forth. Then, depending on what the level of the English language proficiency is and how enthusiastic the teacher is, then these dialect can be used and can be trained very successful with the groups of students. Then the next stage is STEM integration. That means I want to integrate engineering during my class of English. And for this, I have created a scenario. That means that my scenario, that's a kind of story that is going to provide with a situation, a problem that the kids are supposed to solve. Then my scenario is, it is 2025, the pupils are on strike, they want an educational device to learn the disciplines in an interactive way. You have observed that I intentionally used the future because I believe that in this way, the kids are going to feel very comfortable as they are digital pupils. Then that's their cup of tea. They will know how to create a kind of device that will teach a kind of subject in an interactive way. Moreover, it might provide the teacher with some ideas what he or she should change in the process of teaching, or what the interest of the kids are, and what the teacher is supposed to take into account when planning a lesson. Then the essential question in the next stage of the lesson is, how is it possible to construct a 3D model of an educational device that will teach any discipline in an interactive way? Then I'm going to provide the kids with a worksheet. Then in the worksheet, I have the scenario, I have the challenge that they're supposed to solve, I have the materials cited that they may only use in making the product. Moreover, I really believe that the kids are supposed to discuss, they're supposed to brainstorm different possible solutions to the problem. That's why the documentation is very important if you really are eager to develop critical thinking and creativity with your kids. Then how I'm supposed to work further. Then I mentioned the scenario and I said what the challenge is. Then they are supposed to construct a 3D model of an educational device that will teach any discipline in the interactive way. Then I generally mentioned the materials. I mentioned that they may use only 2 pencils, a cup, modeling clay, a plastic bag, a piece of masking tape, 4 sticks, and a plate. And as a tool, they use a pair of scissors. But they are not allowed to take the materials before they have the documentation process ready. Then they are supposed first to discuss what the device will look like first. They're supposed to draw their model, and then they're supposed to mention the materials that they want to use to create the product. Then when they have these 2 items filled in, then they can approach the teacher to choose the materials. They can choose all the materials, or they can choose some of the materials. The only thing is that they are not allowed to use other materials except those that are mentioned in the box. Then the kids are supposed to make the device, then this stage won't last more than 15 minutes. Of course, you may tell me that wait a little bit, the lesson doesn't last more than 45 minutes. It's very difficult to implement STEM approach in teaching English. Of course, it's difficult. Of course, it's going to be messy. Of course, it's going to be noisy. But at the moment you try to integrate STEAM, to use this approach oftener, then the process of the educational process is going to go on smoother because the kids are going to know already the procedure. The noise won't be that kind of enthusiastic noise of doing something so different from the things that we generally do during the English classes. But it's going to be a kind of productive noise. They're going to discuss what kind of materials they need. They are going to decide upon the roles in the group. They are going to know that they don't have so much time allotted. That's why they're supposed to be in a hurry. This comes with time. Of course, when you implement for the first time, then it's really messy. It's really not rewarding because you are going to be tired and the kids are going to be tired. But believe my word, it's going to become very rewarding in about 3 or 4 months because you are going to observe that the kids, they are very good problem solvers. They can create and compare. You are going to observe that you finally have brought the reality into the classroom because you have created situations that they once may come across in their life. When the products are ready, they are supposed to test the educational device. How will they test the educational device? Then we name what kind of discipline they're supposed to teach. That's up to them. But the only thing that they are supposed to do is to use those 4 expressions that we started the lesson with, those that we made associations to find something boring, to turn somebody off, to feel remorse about something, and to be obsessed with. Then these are the expressions that they are supposed to use as the educational material in showing how the educational device works. Before they start presenting the products, it's up to them to decide how they are going to present the products. We give them the chance to choose the general possible way to describe the product. We are going to have peer evaluation. Then each team will be provided, together with the worksheet, will be provided the evaluation sheet. Then the evaluation sheet will help the kids in making the evaluation of their colleagues' product. That means if you, for example, have 15 pupils, 10th graders in the class, then you are going to have 5 groups. Then each group will assess the other group's product. In such a way, they have the rubric and they have the directions that should be used in making the evaluation of the device. Then, in this way, you are going to make the pupils become very attentive to the product that is presented. Of course, in this way, the kids are not going to be as messy as at the beginning of the class. What the evaluation criterion are, then the evaluation criterion may be changed, but I believe that if you start with STEM integration, then the evaluation criterion should be easy. Then the first evaluation criteria is the device was submitted on time, and the kids are supposed to be given 5 points, up to 5 points. The group demonstrated the understanding of the design. The kids are going to be given up to 20 points. The device is unique and creatively made, up to 10 points. The group used the required vocabulary, the lesson vocabulary, those 4 words that I have mentioned at the beginning in presenting how the device will teach the kids in an interactive way. And the device was created using only the provided materials. That means the pupils are supposed to be very attentive to what kind of presentation the pupils make, and they're supposed to be very attentive to the structure of the product in such a way that they detect whether the group has used additional materials or not. In such a way, we develop critical thinking, and we offer a kind of frame how to evaluate the product. Then the directions that are provided are the following. I have got the device of group number. At the lesson, I saw that device was submitted on time, and I'm giving this group up to 5 points being punctual. The group has made they are supposed to use a kind of adjective device, and for creativity I'm giving this group up to 10 points. I can see that the members of the group are real engineers, and for these criterion I'm giving up to 20 points. The group has used the following materials, and they're supposed to name the materials. These are the only provided materials, and I'm giving them up to 10 points. Moreover, the students presented the device using the provided vocabulary directions, and I'm giving them up to 15 points. The design device has proved to be very efficient in teaching the provided phrases in an interactive way, and I'm giving them once again 15 points. Then all in all, this kind of evaluation grid is a great opportunity for the kids to become attentive to what the others do and to analyze the product and the way, whether it is efficient or not in teaching a certain material. Then this is the end of the lesson. You have observed that the lesson is not so abundant with the material. Then we try to have a mixture of language skill development and 21st century skill development by STEM integration at the lesson of English. That's Unit 1, Lesson 3, Grade 10. Then coming to an end, I want that you keep in mind the same idea that I have started the lesson with, that the education is only that which remains at the moment you have forgotten everything you have learned in school. Dear educators, I really want that we all bring realities to the classroom. We relate the discipline that we teach to the business world, and we relate this discipline, English, to the other disciplines. I'm eager that we make the mental shift because that's the only way to go. Thank you so much for listening to me. I hope that this video will be very useful, and I hope that you will try your hand at STEM integration during your classes of English. Thank you so much for your attention, and see you soon.